Hello, Kevin here from BustingSticks.com. Today now we have that follow-up video from the one we just did 2 weeks ago, which was how to do the basic recording of yourself playing the drums, the electronic drums using MainStage, Superior Drummer, or any other really VST/sound source. Today what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to do the basics of the whole Music -1, where you can use an app to pull the drums out of your favorite tunes, go over to the electronic drums, play along with that tune, come back to our audio workstation, and now replace that drummer with your own performance and see how you stack up against your favorite recordings. So we're going to go to the Mac first to show you the app. We're going to move over to the electronic drums, do the recording real quick, and then we'll be back to the app to finish up putting it all together to hear how we sound when we replace our favorite drummers on our favorite tracks. All right, let's go. Okay, here we are in Moises. This is the app I like to use to separate out tracks so I can play on the drums, Music -1. What we're going to do, this is the Mac version. There's also one on your iPhone or Android, I believe. It is a paid app. They have different tiers. I have the first tier of paid, which is reasonable. Their pro level one is very expensive in my opinion, but we don't need that. So I'm going to show you on the Mac because it's easier, but you can do this on mobile and move the file that gets downloaded from their service. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the tune I would like to have happen. So let's go to desktop, downloaded this track here. You say next. Now you can see there's a bunch of different separation types. And it really depends on the track that you have and what you're hoping to do. In this case, it's kind of a rock and roll tune, so I could probably pick either this one or this one. But since I'm really just interested in pulling the drums out, I'm just going to pick the first one. These hi-fi ones are part of their premium service that, again, in my opinion, is pretty pricey. You don't need that. But you can see the other ones here. If you needed to do something special because your instrumentation of the track that you're doing reflects one of these options better, then pick that. So we're going to do this. We'll hit submit. It uploads it to the cloud service. They do the processing there, and then it's going to come back down. We're going to see this in just a minute. Oh, there it is. Very quick today. You can see some of the other cool things it does. It tries to identify the key and the beats per minute. The BPM for the metronome, it can be helpful. We'll look at that a little bit later. But just so you know, we'll double click onto here. So you can see we opened this up. The track I picked has no vocals, so you can see there's no waveform here. We see drums, bass, and other, and in this case, it's going to be guitar. And down here at the bottom, you see Smart Metronome. We're going to use this to our advantage in a couple of minutes. Let's just play this for a second and see what we got. Great. So if we unmute the Smart Metronome, you'll see what we get here. Remember we saw earlier on, it was showing us those 72 beats per minute, and E minor, not really helpful for us, but if you're doing something with some other musicians, it may help. Let's hear this. All right, so it's identified the beats per minute as 72, but that's kind of a slow click on that. What would be helpful is we can go to the 2x and double that up on the 8th note, or in this case, I think it's the quarter. 8th. That's clearly the 8th note. We're going to use this Smart Metronome to our advantage in a couple of minutes when we bring it back into the DAW so that we can play with it. But basically, what we're looking to have out of this is this minus drums. If I play and we mute, you can see it's pretty effective at pulling the drum track out. And that means it's exactly what we need it to do. We're going to export all the tracks so we can manipulate them independently. We'll throw away that vocals track though. So export all. Right down here. Takes a few minutes to download those. And you can see here now that our file is ready. It's got a file name. It even tries to find the pitch center, 442 instead of 440. Not sure how accurate that is, but again, if you were learning to play guitar, bass, keyboard, singing, maybe, knowing where the pitch center is to tune your instrument to be in tune with the song, that'd be helpful. It's giving us a 72 BPM. Again, can be helpful. Save this to downloads. Now, if we fire up Finder, and we go to our downloads folder, you can see here's our zip file. I'm on a Mac. Double click this, expands it out. And now we've got individual tracks for each one of the pieces. All right, now that we have each one of the individual pieces, we're going to close Moises down. So now that we have our files downloaded, I'm firing up Logic Pro. You can use any other DAW. If you don't have a DAW, a great tool to look up is Reaper.fm. It's a great open source DAW that's been out there. I used it for almost a decade, exclusively mixing 24 channel live concert recordings I used to do for groups and bands. And it's as capable as just about anything else out there for audio. I actually work probably faster in that than I do in Logic, but this is what I have here in the Mac today. So we're just going to pick an audio and we're going to say number of tracks is number one because we don't really mind. You're going to see in a minute. We'll hit create. It is helpful here to try and match, but it's not vital, and you'll see why in a second. The beats per minute on your metronome, that's a totally optional thing. We're going to take our, what do we got, 5 tracks here, and we're going to drag these right in. Now, a trick I like to do is not to put it on the 0 setting, but to bring it in just a little bit. We'll drop it out. We'll say use existing. It's going to convert the file because the file sample rate happens to be 44.1. And um, since I do this for video, it needs to be 48. So we're going to convert the file so they're all at 48. So now you can see here, we have all the tracks. We'll playhead. You can see there's nothing in the vocals. We're actually just going to delete that out. Get rid of one extra thing. I like to reorder this. I like to move the metronome down, and I like to move the drums down just so I can see what's going on. But now, so you can see now I have control over what's going on here. So here's the trick I like to do with the metronome. We could try and use the metronome in the DAW, but if you were to zoom in on these samples, you would see very quickly that it doesn't really start right at the beginning of the file. You'd have to start trimming these and getting it to line up. That's just a lot of hassle. We don't need that right now. So instead, what I like to do, let's zoom out first so we can see the whole thing. I don't really want this metronome all the way, so we're going to use this trim tool to just pull this back, and you'll see what we're going to do in a moment. The reason I don't like using this metronome is Moises App tries to match the tempo, but it can fluctuate, and that can be pretty difficult to play with when your metronome is fluctuating by 1 or 2 beats. My cousin and I did a project using this, and the metronome every 2 measures fluctuated from like 84 to 86 to 84 to 86, and trying to play back with that is really difficult. And the tune really didn't fluctuate. It just is what it thought it did because it's trying to interpret humans playing, pushing and pulling the tempo, etc. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take this metronome file and we're going to count out, in this case, let's get 8 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's take this and shrink it down just a little bit more. Oh, the other thing I like to do is I like to turn off snapping. I don't want it to snap the grid. I want to be able to push it around. Let's zoom in just a little bit more for accuracy's sake. We're going to take this metronome track, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1 extra beat. And now watch, we're going to slide this over so that we drop our playhead here. We'll use it as a kind of a ruler. Now what we've done is we've pushed an 8-count click before the song starts. If we hit playback, so there you can hear, you get an 8-count click off, then the tune starts and the metronome starts playing. So we're going to use this to play along on the electronic drums. It gives us a heads up when to start playing because this song doesn't have a lead in. It just kicks off right off the dome. So that's my trick. Take the metronome file, shrink it down, push it on over, get it to line up where you want it to start. Use as many clickers as you feel necessary for you to be ready to play when it starts, but that will give you a nice lead in, start the tune on time, and we'll go from there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bounce out our files. We'll select all, and we'll just bounce this out to, and we'll just, I like to do PCM. I tend to do this just because, again, it's for recording purposes for video. Video likes 48K. You could use an MP3. It doesn't really matter if you're having fun with it. And let's call this sample track, and we'll double the downloads. So how it goes. I come out here, and now I have a sample track. It's this whole piece. What we're going to do is, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this sample track. We're going to bring it over to the drums so we can play along with it. We're going to do some recording over there. We'll bring the files back here, and then we'll put this all together. Okay, we're back here at the other computer after our adventure on the electronic drums. So now let's go find our file we transferred over. There's my file right there. We're going to drag this on. Doesn't really matter where because, again, we're going to have to play our lineup game. Ooh, there's a lot there. Let's just shrink. There we go. Let's bring this around. So now we've got to play the same game where we're trying to line up that first attack with the start of the song. Let's give this a quick listen. All right, pretty good. So now the moment of truth, we're going to mute out the metronome, and we're going to mute out the original drums. The WAV file is kind of small on this. I'm going to boost it artificially right now. I'll go back and do some effects, compressor, such. But let's see what we get. So there we go. We've got ourselves playing along with that song. We've taken out the original drum track. We've muted out the metronome. And now what we have left is the song and our performance. We can do things like throwing in a compressor, do a quick stereo compressor. We'll take a preset for drums. We'll say drum mix. We'll do a little auto gain, no distortion. Let's see what we get from this. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. The one thing I noticed is that the bell sound on the drum set seems to have been missing right in this area, and I think it's because something happened with my sample pad, which is where I actually derived that trigger from. I think it went to sleep, and it just didn't record it. I'm not going to go back and re-record it because I kind of almost like it. It almost seems like a little bit of a stop motion area there where I'm just kind of holding up time, just playing some random notes on the drums, and then the rest of the kit comes in. It's actually a happy accident. So there we go. We've done music minus one. Here's our performance. Here's the original performance and the rest of the tracks. So again, with an easy bit of trickery with the DAW combined with some simple recording using your sound source, you can also do music minus one. It's pretty satisfying. I always say the best way to learn how to get better is to listen to yourself playback recorded, because there's always things you're going to hear in your playing that you just make you cringe. I can hear three things just in this quick listening that makes me want to go back and record it. But again, that's part of the learning process. So let's just conclude this video, okay? All right, well, there's the basics on how to basically replace your favorite drummer on your favorite tracks, doing a little music minus one. It was the simplified version, but we'll start with that, and then perhaps we'll do a video if you want. Put it in the comments if you want to see how dropping in the plugin into your DAW can give you some other options. But between the first video 2 weeks ago on how to just do the basic recording from your VST/sound source, and now this one using an audio workstation, I think you have all the tools to be able to do music minus one recordings at least. Be great if I could see some videos of you doing that as well. Love to see that. How about some links in the comments so we could all check that out? That would be fun. And if you don't have a digital audio workstation, if the price of Logic or some of those other ones are too steep, again, I cannot recommend more highly Reaper.fm. Great audio workstation. I used it for 10 plus years doing major projects. It is full featured and capable of anything you might want to do, Windows and Mac, and you can try it out for as long as you want. But if you're going to use it, pay, I believe it's $65. It's an unbelievable value. It gets you a couple of major versions before you have to pay again. And really, for the work they're putting in, that's small change for what you get. So nothing more to say, but thanks you for watching. Subscribe, like, and share this with your friends. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.